we are.
Yes.
And as promised, we're back with two terrific moms and advocates. We've got Melissa Lander and Marlene Lueck. Did I pronounce?
Lueck.
Lueck. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, nice to have you here. And you are
Pleasure.
the co-founders of Stand Out Advocates.
We are.
Yes.
All right. So tell us, first of all, what Stand Out Advocates is.
Me, you?
Yeah, you go.
Okay.
You're much better.
So I was on here about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now, and I had started up a care coordination company because I had found that families were not being given all the right information, were not helped to negotiate the trials and tribulations that come with the diagnosis of a special needs child. You know, there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of wrong information that's given out there. So I wanted to kind of recreate what Regional Center was originally intended to do and really be in the trenches with the families, helping them to find the right support systems. But inevitably, I found that I was always kind of put into a position as an advocate. And Marlene here was an advocate. And that's all she was, well, not all she was doing, but that's the angle she was coming at. And when we kind of got together, we realized that we could put together a much greater service for everybody by being client-based instead of resource-based as an advocacy group. So we can advocate for our clients in any number of spheres, whether it be IEPs, Regional Center, IHSS, Medi-Cal.
From initial stages all the way into people who are in their 60s. And there are, when they lifted the cap from Regional Center of having the diagnosis before you're 18, then it allowed for a much broader scope of people to be able to access those services even later on in life. So that was part of it. And I mainly did representation in court. So I went to Regional Center hearings and IHSS hearings and Medi-Cal hearings. I didn't do too much of the care coordination side. So with Melissa, it was really a perfect match.
Right.
Yes.
And this comes from personal experience as well, because both of you personally have, in your family, you have autism. So
Yes.
tell us about that.
So I have an 11-year-old with autism, high functioning. He's mainstreamed in 6th grade.
Okay.
He is also a card kid and has been for a very, very long time since he was diagnosed.
Okay.
Really. And
What age was he diagnosed at?
he was diagnosed at 3.5, but I think that, like, in a lot of ways, I have a lot of guilt of not having acted faster. I think we all have a little bit of that. And, you know, he's doing better. He's starting to slowly kind of find his own way. And I kind of needed somewhere to put all that energy and all that knowledge that I had and all that passion for what I was doing for him and, you know, use it, you know, with other kids.
Right. And Marlene, what about you?
My guy was 2.5 when he was diagnosed, and he's 9 now. He was nonverbal. He's fully verbal now. He is also a card kid for the past year, and high functioning. He tested into the GATE program at school. He has a one-on-one aid since kindergarten, and he's got some nice behaviors to go along with that, with comorbidity, ADHD. But I think a lot of mine started because I also have a 23-year-old who was diagnosed with ID at the age of 19. And I remember very early on how there were so many misdiagnoses. And us, it was going through the school because nobody said anything about Regional Center back then.
Right.
So we only had the school and them kind of guiding and directing, trying to work with us and the doctors. And that was horrible because of all of the different types of medications you went through based on the diagnosis. And then after all these years, realizing that none of that was correct. And now, having done that, been through that particular journey, fighting for her now and having the benefits because she's over 18 and unable to sustain a job, and although she's pretty high functioning, there still was that whole piece missing. So that in combination with my little one, so between my husband and I we have 5. We had 23, 17, 10, 9, and 7.
Wow.
So
You've got 3. You guys have full houses.
We do. So when Russell was diagnosed, I certainly didn't understand either. But so I made it my job. I made it my job to understand what was going on with my kids, and I was tired of being in the dark.
And I love the fact that now at this point, you guys are saying, okay, I took the time to learn all this. I advocated for my kid. It's not as if you're going to stop advocating for your kid, but now you're utilizing what you know and making it a shortcut for other people. So let's go back and talk a little bit about the services, because I was a little amazed and thrilled to see that you guys can also help to coordinate diagnosis.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the new tough hurdles, that it's gotten actually harder with the advent of insurance for people to find and get
Oh yeah,
connected
and they don't know the rules.
No, and
They
you're
don't
new,
know about
you're
the
brand spanking
DSM-5.
new. Yeah.
Yeah, but
American
a lot of
Psychology
times I hear,
Association.
well, I can
Yeah.
go to an AV agency. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. First, you need the diagnosis. Then you can take the diagnosis to the AV agency, but the AV agency won't take it without the diagnosis. Then they have to they ask for an 8-hour. Usually, it's an 8-hour assessment. Then you get the results. Then they recommend the amount of, like, there's this. That was the thing, was, you know, when I first came out here, was like, well, go to regional center. Okay, so then I waited around for 8 months. Now, luckily, I had a diagnosis already. And already I was at ECPHP, and I was already going. But a lot of our parents, you know, I see on these mom groups that people are saying, you know, oh, we'll go to regional center. Oh, you think you ever get down the spectrum? Oh, go to regional center. Well, you're looking at about an 8-month gap if you're not an early start.
Right.
So what we kind of do is we have built a really amazing network of professionals that we rely on them as rely on them as kind of this great network of people that we can contact to send our clients to, that we know, you know, think the same way we do, that are going to take care of our clients, to you know, we know that we can get that information back from them. And we're able to get them diagnoses, or at least help to deliver that option of a diagnosis. I mean, we can never guarantee anybody a diagnosis. I don't diagnose.
Right.
But what I can do is, you know, I call it my ADAR. Like, you know, I've been doing this for a while, so I can sense when there's something more there that shouldn't be there, you know, and to help facilitate getting a diagnosis, saying, hey, okay, this is the way it's going to work. So the great thing about what we do is we take every client where they are. So we take every client, because we're client-based, we don't say, okay, well, oh, this part, we don't do this part. If it's to do with your child's diagnosis or needing a diagnosis, it's our problem. So whether they are adopted or foster care, if they are, you know, if they have a physical disability or an intellectual, we are able to take them where they are and then fill in all the blanks around them. And if that includes a diagnosis, then that's what we help doing. But then we make sure they understand, okay, so we're going to do this. Once we get the diagnosis, then we can apply for regional center. That's going to take around this amount of time. In the meantime, we can go after all these other resources at the same time, so they're not sitting around waiting for that regional center.
Right.
We'll start helping them get them ABA, start getting them into the right school program, getting the IEP sorted, so that no time is wasted, because as you know, the earlier the better, the more intervention, the earlier the better, so we don't want to waste any time, which we feel like in some ways, well, we did, and our families have done, by not knowing all the different rules and, you know, all the different things that are out there, specialized programs, you know, helping them decide whether they want a private or a public, and if they want a special needs school versus, you know, a public school, a one-to-one, or a SDC classroom. You know, we can do it all with the help of our little team.
I'm sold. I mean, this is an amazing thing, because the overwhelm is the biggest thing, and you don't know what you don't know. You don't even know what to ask.
I said that yesterday to somebody.
Yeah.
But one thing you said was you have all this knowledge and whatnot, but my family, my mom's one of 8 kids now. And they have a lot of different things, different avenues that they went with, work and whatnot. And every single one of my family members, the elders, have at least told me that knowledge is nothing if you don't share it. Yeah. So it's my job to share everything that I know and help as many people who want the help. And that's also another hurdle, because you know, even as a mom, denial is really strong, and it makes my heart feel good to think that, hey, it may not be autism, it may not be this, it may not be that, because you're a mom, you're a parent, you don't really want anything wrong with your child. So reshaping your direction of how you think and how you approach whatever disabilities that you have, whether they be labeled or not with your child, is really important. So we connect with our parents on a much different level than some of the other agencies, and there's a lot of them. And we encourage families to go out and see what other agencies there are out there that they might be able to help from. Don't just settle with something else, because I would never suggest that either.
Yeah.
I would want them to go out and get information about as much as possible, anything having to do with what they're thinking about, and then come back and say, okay, you know, this is what I found out, can you help me with this? And it makes it a lot better for us too.
It's amazing. So how can people find
Yeah,
you?
how can
Like,
people
where
find
can
you?
they go? And let's do that first. But then I want to know what area, because people are going to be in Texas going, can I get this in Texas?
Yeah.
Well, so that everybody knows, only in California are the services available at this level. And it's predominantly because we have a law called Lanterman that was enacted in '71 that says that people who qualify under that developmental disability category are entitled to receive services free of cost. Right? So California,
And
don't
Lanterman
quote
says
me.
we have the right, that person with disabilities has the right to a meaningful existence of their choosing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is
Yes.
a very powerful thing to say, and no other state has that as a part of their directive for dealing with people with special needs. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to say that they're allowed to choose their own path,
Yeah.
and that we should be helping them to do that.
Absolutely.
Right.
So again, where can they find you? What's
We
your
are,
website?
our website is at www.standoutadvocates.com, and it's advocates with an S. We have an 800 number, 844-762-4968.
I don't have them memorized.
There are
That's
there
why it's
are
good to be partners with
Yeah,
somebody who knows
exactly,
that.
exactly. And
There-
we're on Momopedia, which is a Facebook group of mom experts, and so we're their special needs advocates, and we do that. And then
We have a Facebook page also.
Mm-hmm.
It's Standout Advocates. So mainly it's just searching our name, and we'll come up in the feed or a Google search pretty easily. But for those families that are across the United States, there are certain things that we're able to do. And
Social Security is still viable.
Right.
Regional centers, some states have regional center.
Okay.
some states have a program that mimics things like IHSS or
Yeah.
that type of in-home service care, although it's becoming more and more sparse from what I understand because
Yes.
of the budgetary constraints. California still receives the largest cut of Medicaid funds from any other state in the United States.
Don't advertise that.
There's a reason. I mean,
Don't
so
tell everybody.
Nobody say anything.
our families, when we advocate for them, we
Right.
are we've gone the distance. They are families who are truly in need. They need all levels of support, and it's our job to help them find whatever it is that to capitalize on all the opportunities.
You do a personal support plan, is what you call
Absolutely,
it?
Yes.
Right.
I
Okay.
love
And
that.
you also do dispute representation for families that have been denied services?
We
Yes.
do. We
So
litigate.
we go to IHSS, we go to appeals and state hearings often, more often than I'd like due to traffic. But we also do regional center appeals and
Medi-Cal,
Medi-Cal. We
Social
do
Security.
IEPs. We work with lawyers to do to get once we get into due process for IEPs who work with our company, so that we really can. And the nice thing is that all that information is centrally located. So when you're dealing with IEPs or IHSS or regional, our job is to put a great foundation down so that that family can take that information to each one of the resources with us, obviously, or they can use it without us. But we're building a support system underneath them so that each one of the different avenues they go to, all that information is easily accessible. It's all put in the right place. If I see a client and they've come for IHSS, but I look at their paperwork and I see that there's huge issues with their regional center or whatever, then to go in there and to deal with that, get it corrected, get it put in the right way, or to get the right services and then move forward with whatever it is they wanted us to do, but to not just look at the client as the resource.
Right.
To look at the client and what's best for the client and the client is is the child.
Right.
The child or the adult child. But
Yes.
it's not the family, it's the
tell-
child, and saying,
yeah.
what is it that we need to do to make the trajectory of this person better? and this is how we're going to do it. But part of that is going into each different area and making sure it's been done right and it's done properly, so that when they move forward, with or without us, they're moving forward in a way that they understand more, that they are capable of handling more, that they have everything prepared for them. They just need to take this and move forward. But the nice thing is that once you retain us, you're always retained. We're always retained by you. So you can be off our, not needing anything, and a few years later something can happen, and you don't need to be retained again. You have to pay one for your IEP, one for your regional center. You just come back and say, hey, I need help with this. And we're always kind of a part of their lives and finding out what's going on with them, so that we're always abreast, so that when they do need to come back, we're ready for them.
So it's a continuum of care.
It is.
Absolutely.
And I love that, because nobody is in any way saying that this is free. There is a cost that comes with this. But
Absolutely.
But we want to be clear with families that there's a cost for not doing it as well. You waste
Absolutely.
time. We've all been there and done that and wasted time while we educated ourselves. And then later on, how often are we at lunch and somebody brings something up and we go, after you and I have been in this for so long and interviewed experts, and somebody will say something and I'll go, I didn't know you could get that. Did you know you could get that?
Just
I
recent.
didn't
I'm
know
learning
that.
every day. We learn every day about
Oh my
services you can
gosh.
get.
And so
I wasn't aware of respite and IHSS to the degree that I could access that until recently.
Right.
So,
Right.
in any
parents don't
case,
know.
Samantha's telling me we're out of time, but I just want to say to families, they should reach out to you if there's even a question in their mind, because we were talking earlier, if we had time machines that could go back, we would tell ourselves to listen to ourselves, but I would also go back and I would spare myself some of the mental health issues that I had.
Right.
Of not knowing, was I doing everything for my kid, and beating myself and staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning to research.
And also
so
having
fine.
somebody
I'm
else who's
fine with that.
moving the ball forward for you, so it's not all on you.
Right.
Every
That
move
That gets to be
the
so overwhelming,
recipe
and then
for
you can get
success.
so
is
burned out.
hugely overwhelming.
Right.
yeah.
So
recipe for
Standout
success.
Advocates, once again, is the name.
Yes.
And you can find them, as we said, you can Google it and come
Yeah.
right up. And
And we don't keep our information hostage. You
No.
know, we only
Our
we
consultations are free.
But you have a question, give us a call, send us an email.
you
We're
go.
happy to give you the right answer.
Yes.
We're not going to force someone to hire us. They have to hire us because they want to.
Right.
We're happy to
guys
give you
are
the information we have, and you can go after it yourself.
You
Okay.
guys
No
are
problem.
awesome.